Bonsoir tout le monde. Merci d'être des autres. Good to see you, Guillermo. Good to see you, all my friends here. Je tiens à saluer tous ceux qui, comme le Canada, ont soutenu cet événement et toutes les personnes qui sont ici aujourd'hui pour faire avancer la cause de la biodiversité. We're here today to talk about the countdown to COP15, the Nature COP, in December. But of course, as all of us know too well, the real countdown isn't until that meeting. The real countdown is on our shared fight to halt biodiversity loss before it goes any further, to reverse damage while we still have the chance. No one here needs to be reminded that once a species is lost, it's lost forever. That once we've done too much harm for too long, the old growth forests or oceans, they may be beyond repair. I don't say this to make us lose hope. I say this to remind us of what's at stake and to remind us that we must all do our part right now to make a difference. Earlier this year, Canada made the choice to step up and welcome the world to Montreal for COP15 in just a few months. In Montreal, just like here tonight, Canada will be calling upon the world to mobilize around a key date, 2030. Because by 2030, we need to do two things. First, halt and reverse biodiversity loss. And second, protect at least 30% of the world's land and oceans. This is an ambitious goal. Of that, there is no doubt. But our experience at home shows that it's absolutely within reach. Au Canada, on s'est engagé à protéger 30% de notre superficie terrestre et 30% de notre superficie maritime d'ici 2030. Déjà, on a passé d'une protection de moins de 1% de nos zones marines et côtières en 2015 pour en arriver à une protection de plus de 14% aujourd'hui. In 2015, we had less than 1% of our marine and coastal areas protected. And just a few years later, we're now at 14%. It took a lot of heavy lifting, but we can get there. Et on a également... On a également conservé des centaines de milliers de kilomètres carrés de nos terres. One of the things we need to remember is it's important for everyone around the world to step up. And Canada is the second largest country by area in the world. And I know for every country, protecting biodiversity is important and challenging, because percentages count. But if Canada and the other largest countries in the world don't step up hugely, all the smaller countries around who are leading on this charge won't be enough either. So we need to make sure that we reflect, even as we gather here tonight amongst friends who are committed to it, that we redouble our efforts between now and the next COP in Montreal to make sure everyone, especially the other big countries like Canada, are doing their part. Le message que le Canada compte adresser au monde à Montréal, c'est qu'on doit accorder au dossier de la biodiversité la même urgence qu'à celui des changements climatiques. La nature ne doit pas être reléguée au second plan et c'est un travail qu'on doit faire correctement. Because it's late and I know your headsets are sometimes on the floor, let me repeat that in English. We have been talking as a world over the past years, increasingly urgently, in a way that all school kids seem to get, young people are marching in the streets, and governments are finally taking action in serious ways around the world on the fight against climate change. But we need to bring the same level of urgency to protecting nature, to protecting biodiversity. First, because, as you all know, that is key to also winning in the fight against climate change. We cannot do it without the ecosystem services, without the natural processes that so many of us take for granted, but also because protecting biodiversity is in itself, even without the challenges of climate change, unbelievably important for the resilience and the success of all species on this planet, including this particular brand of primate that is gathered here under this tent. In Canada, we've also understood that protecting nature and protecting biodiversity must be done hand in hand with Indigenous peoples. And that's not just lip service. It involves understanding two things fundamentally. First of all, Indigenous peoples have the traditional knowledge and the deep Indigenous science that has understood for millennia how to best care and be stewards of the world around them. But at the same time, the mindset of Indigenous peoples to look through generations instead of being trapped in the kind of short-term thinking that is, the current era's specialty, is a shift in culture and mindset that all of us non-Indigenous people need to start adapting and adopting. If we do not involve Indigenous peoples every step of the way in fighting for protection of our planet and biodiversity, we're not going to get there. And that's why it's so important that we continue to understand the principles on this, and I'm very pleased that an extraordinary Canadian, Valérie Courtois, will be here in a few minutes to share her experiences and the perspective we all need to draw from. So thank you, Valérie, in advance for what you're going to say. Protecting nature is about protecting our shared future, a future with clean air and water, thriving communities, and yes, strong economies. That's our task, and together I know we're more than up to the task. So I look forward to welcoming all of you and the rest of the world to my hometown in Montreal, where we will be celebrating and continuing the hard work that I know we're all going to be doing over the next 3 months to make sure we get there in fine form. Merci beaucoup, mes amis. See you in Montreal.